Then we move on to the y-intercept. The y-intercept. And the y-intercept simply means it is when x is equal to 0. So our equation y is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared will therefore be equal to 0 cubed. Then we have minus 3 times 0 squared. We end up getting 0. And therefore for the y-intercept we have x 0 and y 0. That is the origin. So here we have the origin, and again for this case we also have the origin. Then after getting the intercepts, we get now the turning point, which is again very easy, the stationary point. We get the stationary point. So we simply come and say at stationary point, the gradient dy all over dx is equal to 0. So we have our equation y is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared. So our dy all over dx will be 3 times 1 here, which is the coefficient of x. We have 3x, 3 minus 1, then minus 2 times 3, that is 6, x 2 minus 1. So we are going to have this as 3x squared minus 6x. So, and we know that at that stationary point the gradient is 0, so we equate that to 0. So we have 3x squared minus 6x is equal to 0. The common factor here, we have 3x. So we are going to have x minus 6, not minus 6, because the x 6x minus divided by 3x, we have 2 is equal to 0. So we get the values of x. The first one we have 3x is equal to 0, divided by 3 by 3. So we have x is 0. And when x is 0, we can get the values of y. Then the other x, we have x minus 2 is equal to 0. And therefore x will be 0. We take 2 to the other side, we'll have plus 2. So we have our x as 2. So we want to get the corresponding values of y when x is 0 and when x is 2. So our y is equal to, the equation is x cubed minus 3x squared. So when x is 0, all this will be 0, and therefore we'll have the point as 0, 0, which is the origin. Point 0, 0 is the origin. Then when x is 2, we have the equation y is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared. So when it is 2 here, we have 2 raised to power 3 is 8, minus 2 raised to power 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. So we have 8 minus 12, which is negative 4. We have negative 4, and therefore the points are x2, y negative 4. Then now, after getting the stationary point, we have the stationary point and another stationary point. Finally, we look at the nature of the stationary point. So that we can now be able to sketch the curve. So nature of the stationary points. There are 2. In our case, we have 0, 0, and we have 2, negative 4. So we come and now get the nature of the stationary points. The first one we have point 0, 0. So we just come and get the values of x and then the gradient y dx at x. So we get the points here. The middle one is when the gradient is 0. So x is 0, the gradient is 0 at the turning point. Then we get a point towards the right, like 1, and towards the left. Then we simply come and say we know that the equation dy all over dx is equal to 3x squared minus 6x. So we have therefore when x is negative 1, we have negative 1 squared, that is 1. 1 times 3 is 3 minus negative 1 times 6, we have negative 6. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6, so we have negative 6. This is 3 plus 6, which is 9. Then again, when x is 1, here we'll have simply 1 squared, that is 1 times 3, then minus 1 times the 6, which is 6. So we have 3 minus 6, which is negative 3. And therefore, we have positive here, positive gradient, 0, and then we have negative. And therefore, we have it this way. We have positive, we have 0, and we have negative. Positive, 0, negative. And therefore, this point is a maximum point. Then we move on to the other point, that is 2, negative 4. Again, we come and get the values of x, and then the gradient y dx at the point x. So at the middle, we have the point 2 where the gradient is 0. So we get the other gradient here, and we know that dy all over dx is equal to 3x squared minus 6x. So we get a point towards the right, we have 3, towards the left, we have 1. So we come and get the gradient when x is 1. So we are going to have here 3 minus 1 times 6 is 6. So we have negative 3. And when x is 3, again, we are going to have 3 squared, that is 9. 9 times 3, we have 27. Then minus 3 times 6, that is 18. We get 9. So we have 9. So the gradient here is negative and here is positive, meaning that we have negative, we have 0 gradient, and we have positive. This is negative, 0, and we have positive, meaning that our point here is a minimum point. This is a minimum point. And therefore now we can move ahead and now plot, that is sketch the curve. We sketch the curve because we have the intercept. We have the intercept, that is 0, 0, and we also have the other point 3, 0. These were the intercepts. So we need to write those intercepts. Then we have the intercept. The first one we hand 0, 0. Then we hand the other one 3, 0. Then we hand the other one, again the origin 0, 0. Then we have the stationary points. The first one we have point 0, this point 0, 0, which is a maximum point, 0, 0, which is a turning point. This is a turning point. And then again we have another turning point 2, negative 4. This is another turning point. So we need to come now and sketch the curve. We just include whatever we have 3, 0, we have negative 2, negative 4. So come and have the sketch, whereby we are going to have therefore the sketch for the curve and see the general shape of that curve. So we have on the side of negative, so it's a sketch. So we can have on the x-axis, we have the highest 3, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3. Then we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Then on the y-axis, we have 0, we have negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5. We have 1, 2, 3. So we have point 0, 0, which is this, which is a turning point, and it is a maximum. This one is a maximum. Then the other one is a minimum. And we have point 3, 0. So we know that we have this point 3, 0. So we have the turning point, we have 0, 0, and we have 2, negative 4. We have 2, negative 4. So this other point. So our 0, 0 is a maximum, and then our 2, -4 is a minimum. So we have it this way. This is a maximum. Then we move on to the minimum point. Maximum, then minimum, then we have 0.30, which has helped us to plot the curve. So we have that way. And that is the sketch for the curve, whereby we have 0.00 is the maximum, 0.2, -4 is the minimum, and this point also we've used it to help us get the nature and the curve, how the curve looks like. So that's the nature of the curve, maximum and minimum for the curve that we had been given, whereby y is equal to x cubed minus 3x squared.